heart, mind, body, and soul, limbic system, frontal cortex, genes, body, and legal, by the way. I hadn't mentioned this before, but your legal relationships, who's married to whom, who's legally responsible, who's got guardianship, these kinds of things are also going to be mapped. And then the soul, the metaneuronal meaning, and more. Once again, alignment, heart, mind, body, and soul are are all pointed in the same direction. Attunement is the interaction between two or more people in a very mysterious, almost mystical, both biological, psychological, and cognitive, and emotional, and almost, I mean, you could, for those who are spiritually inclined, this is pretty heavy-duty stuff. It's pretty miraculous how this happens, because nobody has to try to do it. It just happens. This kid's tonal is not aligned. His heart's going one way, his mind's going another. That's what he's trying to tell us. He's not even trying to tell us it consciously, but we can see it because we're the adults. And then the mnemonic we've gone through, red, green, blue, and yellow. Now we get to the part that's interesting for you, or hopefully more interesting for you, and that is that we have a diagramming process that takes place on a 1 8x10 piece of paper. This 1x10 piece of paper is meant to go on top of any psychological report, on top of any probation report, on top of any social service report. When your mediators come to you, I think you should have this. The diagramming process is something that the professional does with the client that you're concerned with, and they do it with, not to, and it's done in the same structure of a family tree. How many of you are familiar with family trees? Okay, how many are familiar with genograms? Okay, just for you that aren't, just very quickly, basically, this is blue, so we're looking at genetic and legal connections. Jack is a 41-year-old man. We know he's a man because he's in that square box, 41 years old. That little flag means he's got a drug or an alcohol problem. Marilyn, who's in the circle, is his wife. See that blue line going across? She's in a circle. If there were two hatched lines, that would mean they were divorced. If there was one across there, that would mean they were separated. They have two children, a 13-year-old boy named John and a 10-year-old named Tara. So we've just mapped the rudiments of the genetic and legal connections, the blue lines. In the same way, and social workers should be familiar with this, and certainly all your psychiatrists and psychologists should already be familiar with this, and many of your probation officers. So we're going to map out someone's tonal connectedness along those 4 dimensions of heart, mind, body, and soul. But the thing I want to point out is this is not something unlike all the other things we do. We don't do this to someone. We do this with someone. The visual nature of the picture makes it to where you can read it very, very quickly. And after you've seen a few of these, you can start to read them just the way a doctor reads x-rays. Doctors can read 100 x-rays in an hour easily because they have pattern recognition. And just like our brains are able to recognize facial expressions, they can look at a visual image and see a huge amount. A picture's worth at least 1,000 words. An average psych report is 10,000 words. I don't know how quite to put that together, except that I think these are going to be more useful to you than that 20 pages of gobbledygook that sometimes I can't even understand. So what are the questions you would ask? Well, who do you love? Who are you missing? Who do you want to miss you? Who is missing you? What do you want to learn? Who's teaching you? Who are you teaching? This is very important. We forget this about adolescents. They also need someone to take care of, or someone to teach, or someone to mentor. This is another basic human need, often missed. Who shares your blood? Who shares your body? Who provides you with food and shelter? And to whom or what is your soul connected? What are your passions? What matters to you? What do you value? These are the kinds of things we need to know about our kids and our families. These are the kinds of things we really need to know. They're more important than how well they draw a little square box with, little crosses and circles in them. It's more important than how quickly they can move objects around in object assembly. These things, I'm not trying to denigrate the other things, but this is really who they are. This is much more who a person is than the results of a psychological or psychiatric evaluation. So let's start with this quick example of Lily. Lily is a 36-year-old woman who's worried about whether or not she's going to be able to take care of Brandon, her teenage son who's been acting out. She's divorced. You see that double blue line up there? From Carlos. Now, from looking at this picture, what can we tell? Well, we know that Lily is 36. We know that there's no love lost between Lily and Carlos's family. See, there's blue lines. She's legally connected, but there's no heart lines. There's no red, yellow, or green. We know that she has a heart, mind, body, and soul connection with her own parents, so the grandparents are intact. There's no flags coming off there, so there's no drug or alcohol abuse. We see that she has an older brother, 32-year-old Robert, and an older sister, a 38-year-old Carla, and an older brother named Ramon, and, or Raymond, I'm not sure which. At any rate, she has soul and heart and blood connections to these three siblings, and she learns from Carla, and she learns from Raymond. She's not particularly learning from Robert, but in addition to that, she's got yellow all over the place, which is always a very good sign. And we could explore what that was. Is that her church? Is that does she have spiritual kinds of relationships? Does she have some kind of other deeper, higher meaning purpose that she shares with these folks? Is she able to talk about the more important things in life with them? These are all dimensions of that yellow line. And then we see that she has three good friends, Carol, Roberta, and Leticia, all about her same age. She has heart, mind, and soul connections with them. She's not biologically related to them. And then she has a divorce counselor named Michael, who so happens is also good with adolescents. So in fact, Lily, although she's very preoccupied whether or not she's going to be able to take care of her kid by herself, she's not by herself. She's got an older brother and an older sister at least. She's got a coach over here, and she's got three friends, all of whom have teenage kids themselves. So she's not alone. She can relax. We can relax and tell her, look, use some of these resources and you should be fine. You don't need to go into once-a-week psychoanalytic psychotherapy for the next 15 years to figure out whether or not you can raise your kid.